So my name is Richard Davis. I work in strategy development at the Dentsu Aegis network, and my role is about developing our organization and a product with a key focus on developing our global clients' relationships. It's quite interesting how I got into media. I basically replied to an advert where the job post said international in the description, and I wanted to travel and see the world. And media is a good place to be because it's increasing globalized. And I moved from Italy to here, and I work in Europe at a European level. I get to meet people from diverse cultural background. It's really fantastic. So I studied social sciences as an undergrad, which opened my mind about how people collectively think and act and buy in ultimate instance, which is fascinating. And of course, in media and marketing in general, you have to understand how people behave and how you can harness that behavior to improve your product and profitability. So the presentation is about advertising, the past, the present, and the future, if possible. And it's about how advertising, A, is part of marketing, B, is about building brands that people will recognize, like, and buy, and C, how advertising is evolving into different disciplines, including not just media and creative, which are the traditional disciplines, but also digital. So the first key message I would like you to remember is that advertising is about building brands. So what is a brand? At the very basic level, a brand is a name, a logo, or a symbol that identifies product A versus product B. But it's more than that, of course. It's also a way of calling and naming things that don't exist in reality. So take Coca-Cola. That's a brand, but if you really look at the product, it's a sugar drink produced in Atlanta somewhere and then packaged in a tin. You can't say that, so it's Coca-Cola. And also, it helps you to recognize a well-known, recognizable product and a company that probably you can relate or rely on, again, Coca-Cola, versus a product that is from an unknown company which might have not the right ingredients in, so you would intuitively go towards the most known brand. So advertising is part of marketing, and marketing is about acquiring and maintaining a relationship with a customer. That could be, through the product packaging, it could be through the salespeople in the shop, it could be the design of the shop. So a wide range of different marketing tools, and advertising is one of them. So a brand always has two components, if you like, rational and emotional, and they're both very important because, of course, if you just get the rational, so yeah, the function of the product is good, but they've got no attachment to it. Probably when another product with a more clever branding comes in or a more clever advertising, you will shift to that. But emotional is very important there, but of course, alone is not enough, because if the advertising is great, it makes you dream and wonder about the product or the word around the product, but then the product is not really good, of course, you're not getting anywhere. So rational and emotional. So historically, advertising or the advertising industry has been split or divided in two key disciplines, media and creative. So creative is about building the content, so the TV ad, the 30-second spot that goes on TV. And of course, there's a lot of thinking about the message and how to convey that message and the tone of voice of the brand to the consumer. And then you've got the media. And the media is about spreading and distributing that message. So on which TV channels, which radio channels, which social media should the advert actually be placed, and at what price, at what time, and with what frequency. And of course, if these two things work in combination, then you've got a powerful tool to engage people. So let's focus on media for a second, because media is evolving, is changing, and is really challenging and exciting at the same time. So traditionally or historically, you had a few numbers of media channels where you could engage with people. If you had just a handful of TV channels or radio channels, that would make life easier for a brand to try and engage as much people as they could at the same time, which is key. But today, you've got multiple TV, radio, digital channels. And that makes things much, much more complex, because mass audiences don't exist anymore in the way that we used to think about them, but they only exist as a number of niche. So if you put all those niches together, you build a mass audience. But building that and bringing all those different people together, all those different tribes, is a challenge. So this new fragmented media landscape presents new challenges that will require people with fresh thinking and an understanding of this, like you. So how do we define the new media landscape? Well, there are three key elements that we need to keep into consideration, and we need to keep into consideration them and the interconnection between the three of them. So we define media as a mix of bought, owned, and earned media. Bought media is airtime that you basically buy on broadcast media. So when you buy a TV slot on Channel 4, that's bought media. You're basically renting some space as a brand on somebody else's property. Then you've got owned media, and that's the media that you as a brand fully own and control. Your own website, your shop if you like, but also your app or your Facebook page. And then there is earned media, which is probably the most powerful, which is the visibility and the reach that you as a brand can actually achieve through other people. So when people on social media like, share, and amplify your message, you are basically reaching an audience that you would not reach with traditional bought media or either with owned media. So as an example of bought, owned, and earned media, just try to type iPad on Google. What you will see is that the first string of results is actually space that Apple, in this case, has paid Google to have. So actually it's bought media. Then you've got Apple own website and Apple properties online or web properties. That's owned media. But then you've got a number of blogs and online magazines and other sources that are actually earned media, because Apple has no direct control. People can say, review, like or dislike as much as they want. And that's where the real conversation happens, of course. So we previously said that historically the advertising industry has been kind of divided between two key disciplines, media and creative. But increasingly more, and going forward, there's a third key discipline that is emerging and that is interconnected to the other two, which is digital. Because in digital, creative and distribution, so creative and media, really blend together. And the technicalities behind how to build content, how to distribute content, how to actually optimize the fact that the creative is right for that person at that time on that media, has got so much of new skills involved that we are seeing an increasing number of agencies and people joining the industry from a completely different background. And again, having people that can actually understand intuitively how this works, because they've been growing up in that space and in that world, is absolutely critical to evolve the industry. And the last thing is that, we increasingly talk about technology and digital and optimizing and the numbers and the science behind advertising, but in the end, people make the difference in this industry, and people are critical to our success.